Hey guys, so I know this is a little different than what we're used to, but we're going to see how this works for us. Hopefully you can hear me. I did test my audio out before I made this video, and I could hear myself pretty well as long as I turned up my speakers, so I just want to make sure that you can hear me. If there's any issues with the video, just send me an email and we can fix it. Um, Before we get into things, I want to make sure that you're all updated about what's going on with school. So, as of right now, we do not have a set date of when we're going to go back to school. I am just as unsure as you are about how the rest of the semester is going to play out. I have been checking my Fort Worth ISD Facebook and Trimble Tech's Facebook page and Fort Worth ISD's website to keep me updated. If you don't have Facebook, which I know it's kind of an old person thing, so check the website and make sure that you're being informed about what's going on. So the original date was going to be April 6th, and now it's indefinitely. We don't know what's going to happen, and so I know that everything that's going on in the world right now is kind of scary, and it's very kind of disheartening about what's going on. And so if you need to talk about anything that's going on, if you're scared, if you don't know who to talk to or to kind of just vent to, then you can always email me. I'm also going to send out directions on Google Classroom to start a remind. I got approval to do that today, so we can conference that way as well. So there will be a code for you to be able to text in, and we can communicate via remind also. But just know that I am just as up in the air as you are about everything. You know, I have a newborn baby, and things are really kind of scary, and we're in quarantine as well. I have not been going out. You know, I haven't taken my baby out anywhere. Not like I was going to, but so it's kind of a weird situation right now. So I understand that it's weird because not only are you in quarantine, but school's been canceled and you're having to do all these online things that you're not used to doing, and so it might be a little bit harder for you to get yourself put together and make sure that you're getting your work done. But in all reality, this is the best thing right now, and doing your work online is going to ensure that you're going to get your credits, and so that's first and foremost what we want to make sure that happens, because you don't want to fall behind just because you decided to be a little lazy and not get your work done. I know it's hard, and if you have any questions, I'm here. You can always email me, and I will get back to you, okay? So everything for my class is going to be on Google Classroom. Nothing's going to change there. We're going to continue on with Gatsby just as if we were in our classroom, and we're just going to continue like things are as normal as possible. So to get started, I want to recap a couple of things that are on Classroom. So first and foremost, I have a check-in that you're going to do every single time that you log on to Classroom. So I plan to make these videos every other day and post assignments every other day, just like it's an A and B day. So the videos sometimes will be longer, sometimes will be shorter. This one's going to be probably a little bit longer just because I wanted to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way. I don't know anything about grades or anything right now, so as soon as I do, I will let you know that. But anyway, so you're going to have a check-in. That check-in is going to be kind of like your attendance for my class. So it's going to just be your name. It's going to be a question that you have to answer. So the first initial check-in that most of you have already done had a couple of questions there just to kind of help me get started with this online process. And then from now on, it'll be your name and maybe a question or two. And then that'll be your attendance to say that you are actually checking in. The next thing is going to be, for this lesson at least, is going to be this video that you'll watch, and this will get you started on your activity for the day. And so after that video, there's going to be the audio for Chapter 1 of The Great Gatsby. And so the majority of you were in class before spring break started, and so you got your Gatsby books. If you did not get your Gatsby books because you were absent or whatever it is, this is actually available online. You're more than welcome to download it as a PDF, or you can just listen to the audio. I will post the audio for every single chapter of this book. And this is nothing different than we were going to do in class. We were going to listen to the audio anyway. It's just now it's on your own. I will tell you that to me, it's a lot easier to read along with listening so I can have the words to look at, because I'm not one of those people that can just listen to an audiobook like in my car or when I'm working out. I can't stay focused, and I will daydream off, and it won't you know, stick. So if you do not have a hard copy of the book, actual tangible copy, there are PDFs online that you can look for and you can download, or you can buy it on Amazon. I know that's not a great option, but it is there and it's really cheap. And you can have it delivered to you. And I know you can't go out and buy it yourself, but um, if all else fails, the audio is going to be on here, so you can just listen to it. And I know that's not always the easiest thing to do, but hopefully it works out for however you want to go about getting through this book. So that's the next thing, is that audio for chapter 1, and it is 35 minutes long. And then the next thing that's going to be on there is an assignment called the Reliable Narrator assignment, and that is based on chapter 1 of the book. And so the Reliable Narrator is based on Nick Carraway, which is the narrator of the book, and about, do you trust him after you have read chapter 1? Because a lot of the things that he says leads towards you being questionable about whether he's the best narrator for this story. And so on that assignment, there's going to be, I think there's 5 or 6, I don't know for off the top of my head, quotes from chapter 1 that won't make sense unless you've read chapter 1. And so each of those quotes is said by Nick, which is our narrator of this book, and you're going to have to say, based on that quote, do you believe him? Is he trustworthy? Should you believe what he's telling you about the story? And then you have to explain why or why not. And so, yes, you can say number 1 is a yes, I believe him. Number 2 is I don't believe him. Number 3 is yes, vice versa. It doesn't have to be all yeses, and it does not have to be all no's. So you can definitely mix it up. So that explains the Reliable Narrator assignment. The final thing that's going to be on Classroom today is going to be the code to get into our Remind. So I know that's a lot at one time, but I know that you have over the weekend to work on this. So I gave you a little bit more today, and since I kind of stalled getting started just because I wanted to get most of you checked in, that I gave you a little bit more to do today. So it won't always be this much. But like I said, the Remind will be the last thing, and there'll be a code, and you'll text in, and then I can send you out messages. But just as a blanket statement is I will be posting videos and lessons and assignments every other day. So we're going to do away with you having me on A days, you having me on B days. Every other day, you need to check my class to make sure that you have the assignment. So since I'm posting this on Thursday, this assignment is due on Monday. So that means on Monday, you will check, you'll turn in your assignment, and then you will check for your next video and your next lesson, and it'll be on there. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about chapter 1 before I end this video. We're not going to get too much into it because I want you to read it. I don't want you to look up Spark Notes. Of course you can if it needs to help you or schmoop or whatever it is, but we're going to go on the honesty policy here and say that you actually are going to read this novel, because you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't and you just kind of skim your way through it, or you read the Cliff Notes or whatever it is, because this book, if you can read this book, there's very little else in literature that you can't read, because it is beautifully written, it is challenging at times, and it is my favorite book of all time. So I am kind of biased, but I will tell you that don't do that to yourself. Read this book with us. We'll get through this. And if we come back together at the end of April and we're on chapter 6, great. Then we will start right at chapter 6 back in the classroom together as if you have read the whole thing. So you don't want to fall behind in terms of that, because when we do come back together, if we do come back together, then you want to make sure that you are on the same pace and you're not having to read chapters 1 through 6 on your own in a very short amount of time to get up to pace with us. So anyway, back to what I was saying. So you're reading chapter 1 of this book over the weekend or tonight or whenever you want to do it. And I will tell you that chapter 1 is difficult. It's the most difficult chapter of the book. It's the chapter that I hate the most in this book. And that sucks because it turns a lot of people off of this book because it's the first chapter. So you read the first chapter, you're bored, you don't want to keep reading, and then it makes you have a distaste for the book. And I'm asking you to trust me and to not do that, because chapter 1 is a very small portion of this book, and there are 9 chapters, and each chapter is just better and better. And chapter 1 is just one of those things that you have to get through because it's written in a sense that Nick, which is our narrator, one thing I forgot to mention is if you want to get out something to take notes on, I'm going to give you a couple of tips to help you get through chapter 1. So get your phones out, get a piece of paper, whatever you want to do, and take a couple of these notes down so that you know how to go about chapter 1. And I'll pause. I'll let you do that. Okay. So Nick Carraway is our narrator, and he is a type of guy that wants you to trust him. And so he is going to speak in chapter 1 in a way that makes him sound overly smart. And he's going to use words that are crazy and that you would never use in a regular day atmosphere. But he is trying to impress you. And so that does not mean the entire book is written this way. Only chapter 1 and only the first few pages of chapter 1 are written that way. But it is literally him trying to show off and trying to get you to be impressed by his vocabulary. But it is not meant to turn you off to the book. So just get through the first few pages and you can be like, what is he talking about? And just know that he's using big words to try to show you, look how educated I am, look how fantastic I am. You should totally trust me in telling you this story. So this entire story is written from Nick's point of view. So he is our third person narrator and third person limited narrator. That means like he only gives you his side of the story. So it's not like you're getting the side of Gatsby or the side of Daisy or whoever else in the book, but you are going to have to take his word for it. And so that's when that reliable narrator assignment that you will do afterwards comes into play. So Nick is our narrator, like I said, and then you will meet a couple of more really important characters in chapter 1. So Nick has a cousin. His cousin is Daisy, and you will meet her very soon in chapter 1. And I want you to pay attention to how Daisy speaks and kind of the facade she puts on about herself and the role she kind of plays and falls into based on where she falls into her social class and in society. And then think about gender roles. So in the 1920s, what are women supposed to be doing and how are they supposed to be acting? So all those things I want you to think about as you're listening or reading chapter 1. And then Daisy is married to Tom, and Tom is a big old jerk, and you will not be a fan of Tom, but he is Daisy's husband, and he also went to school with Nick, and so they know each other from college. And you will learn that Tom has his faults, and that I want you to pay attention to what they are in chapter 1, and they're very obvious, especially when somebody calls him during dinner with his wife, and pick up on who that is. You'll see. And the way he talks about other people in society and so forth, and the way he kind of throws around his masculinity, again with the gender roles I want you to think about. Other than that, you will meet Jordan Baker. That is Daisy's best friend in the novel, and will play an important role in terms of Nick coming up. And again, I want you to think about her and the way she presents herself and her social class and what her and Daisy are doing and their conversations or their lack of conversations and her appearance. All these things I want you to really think about as you're introduced to these characters. And the very end of chapter 1, you get to mention Gatsby. And so you don't meet Gatsby, you don't talk to Gatsby, but Gatsby is finally mentioned. And so I want you to, again, really read into how Nick describes Gatsby, because that is going to come into play too as the novel progresses, to the point where it's almost like an obsession. So those are the things that I want you to really understand about chapter 1 and to make notes on. And if you haven't already seen, and I did forget to mention this, that there is a packet on Google Classroom of The Great Gatsby. So you know how when we would read novels, you have questions to answer about them? Well, it's the same thing. So I provided you a packet with questions to go with each chapter. They are not a grade, they're not required, they're just to help you understand the novel. So that packet is there, it's on Google Classroom. It's not going to be under this lesson, it's just going to be in Classroom under the Gatsby tab. And then you can keep up with them and it'll help you a better understanding, especially when we get back to quizzes or we get to do a test or a final exam or whatever it is or how the semester plays out. But again, those questions are there to help you. And so I didn't answer the questions for you just now. I'm not going to answer the questions for you because I want you to actually read and answer them yourself. But they are there to help guide you along the way. The final thing I want to talk to you about is the next time I post a video, we're going to talk more in depth about chapter 1, and I'm going to assume that you all read it, and then we're going to talk about some things that are a little bit deeper into the chapter. I really just talked about characters today and a little bit of thematic ideas, gender roles, social class, etc. But I will do like a short thing to look for in each chapter, and then the next time we have our lesson together, we'll talk a little bit more in depth about the chapter. That does not mean I'm going to give you a full out summary of the chapter. That does not mean I'm going to answer the questions, so you don't have to read, just wait for my video. I'm just going to point out some things that are going to help you with the next assignment. So that is your assignment for the weekend. You're going to read chapter 1. You're going to do that reliable narrator assignment, and then that packet is there if you want to do your questions over chapter 1. You can pause if you're listening to the audio and fill them out as you go. You can wait to the end. However, if you don't want the novel to be spoiled for you, I wouldn't scroll through the packet so that you don't see the other questions. My goal is that we will come back together, and even if it is in May, for us to have our Gatsby party and get to watch the movie and celebrate being, through this novel because it is fantastic. So, like I said before, get through chapter 1. Know that it is hard. It is kind of boring at times. That's just how chapter 1 is. And then you'll get to chapter 2, which is my favorite chapter, actually. And then it gets even better, Like I said, this novel is full of drinking and partying and cheating and sex and lies and, breaking the law, prohibition and all things that are going on. So it is going to get exciting, just chapter 1 isn't, unfortunately. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to email me on Forward with ISD email. My email is up and running. If you're having trouble getting into your email, I can send you a link to help you reset your password. So email me through a personal email to my school email, and then I can send you that link so you can get back into your school. I do know that Focus is down for students. You aren't allowed access to it yet. So, plus nothing's been updated, so it doesn't matter. But we do have access to Focus, y'all don't. And as soon as I get an answer about grades and how everything's going to work, I will update you about that. So I have talked long enough. I'm close to 19 minutes. I hope that you are doing well, and I hope that you are staying safe and healthy, and I'm sure you're looking forward to my daughter making some appearances in these videos, and I will try to abide by that and let you see her. She's asleep right now, so don't want to interrupt her nap time. And I hope that you all have a great day and a great weekend, and I will talk to you again on Monday. Okay? Bye.